could you? How could you, Jack?
I'm sorry, I couldn't help it.
Cut! That was horrible! Who wrote the script? Welcome to the movie show!
Active FM.
What's up?
Meow.
Wow. Thank you, Ryan, for that brilliant introduction there. I am on air with Ryan. I'm not on air with the cat, just in case you're wondering. That is Ryan doing those sound effects. And if you're wondering why they're so realistic, Ryan does have cats, which makes sense. He studies them, imitates them, wants to be like them. I have dogs, so I'm like the complete opposite.
I guess this is where you bark at me and chase me away.
So this is the movie show
On Active FM.
on Active FM. I'm Sash.
And I'm Ryan.
And as we promised last week, we are going to be reviewing the 29 musical Cats.
And we did it.
And we did it.
We put ourselves through an hour and 50 minutes of the movie.
Cats.
And we have our say now. We have studied. We have done careful commenting.
Mm-hmm.
We have written our paragraphs. And we have done our research.
We have.
And so get ready to get blown away. Put your seatbelts on. Put your hats on. No, don't put hats on. They're going to be blown off. And please keep all hands and feet inside.
Inside the vehicle.
And please note that if you leave anything behind,
It's left behind.
it's ours.
Or that. So Cats, right? This movie did horribly. It got 20% on Rotten Tomatoes. It got a 2.8 out of 10 on IMDb.
Yes.
It really did badly. Yeah.
You know what? Let's be honest. We watched a movie called The Emoji Movie, and that movie got bad reviews. So for me, when I look at reviews, when they do these, the Rotten Tomatoes, all that stuff, I look at that and I'm like, okay, the Emoji Movie was good.
There's another movie, After Earth. It was with Will Smith and his son, Jaden Smith. That movie also got very bad ratings, but it was very good. I enjoyed it. Thoroughly enjoyed it. So you can't always go. So we watched the film. And to be honest, when the film started, I had two thoughts in my head. Thought number one, oh my word, this is bad. Thought number two, Ryan's going to be so upset with me for making him watch this movie. Those were my two thoughts when watching the film.
I had two thoughts as well. My first thought was, I was right. The second thought was, I'm going to go get a bucket now. Because I'm about to throw up.
Wow. Yeah, so... But listen to the
We've
end.
got some good stuff.
Yes.
We've got some bad stuff. We've got some good stuff.
But I am glad I watched it. I didn't get to the end of it and think I just wasted an hour and 50 minutes of my life, which I have thought when I've gotten to the end of me. I'm glad I watched it.
Yeah, look, I don't have any regrets, but what I will say is that I couldn't wait for it to finish. I sat down but what I did was that I was able to preoccupy myself really studying the CG, because it is a CG intense movie. And so I found myself, because the thing is this, right? As a CG artist, you don't just, okay, cool, I'm going to make a giraffe. You have to go and you have to do a lot of research.
Yeah.
Go look up movies where there were animals involved, and then go look at Jungle Book. Go look at Jungle Book. But I mean, what the CG artists had to do, they have to go and they have to research the anatomy of the animal.
Yes.
They have to look at its movement, what it does when it does this, etc., and stuff like that. And when I was just looking at the movement, and I was studying the way the gravity and the way they moved and the size of the sets and the proportion, and I was just like, something's off. I don't know what it is, but something is definitely off here.
Yep.
And so we opened a case, and it was case number 65598. And so this is now the...
So this is us figuring out why Cats actually was so bad.
Ooh, this is a good show. We're figuring out what it is that was so off about it.
Yeah.
Yes. But maybe you enjoyed Cats. Perhaps you watched the musical. I mean, the stage. You went to the theater. You watched it. You got the CD with all the songs on it. You got the T-shirt, the cap. And as well as you learned all the songs. And so your big dream is to be in a theatrical play of Cats. And you even have your character that you want to play.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
I love Active FM. Christ music is hot music. Our music at Active FM is lit.
Going up like a mansion. I ain't got no reason. Tell the people, everybody on the dance floor now. Christ is the one we lift our hands for now.
You're tuned in to Active FM.
So just to look at all the usual stuff, the box office, sorry, let's start with the budget. The budget for this film was $95 million. It is a very steep budget, but it was a CG intense film, as Ryan said, which makes sense. However, the box office was only 75.5 million. So they didn't even make it. They didn't even pay off what they spent.
They were just short.
Not just short. They were a whole 19.5 million short.
What did you say? How much did they make?
So the budget was 95.
Yes.
They made 75.5.
75. Right. So there you go. It's what,
Yes.
20?
Just short of 20, yeah.
Short of 20
Yeah.
million. Just $20 million.
Yeah, just $20 million that we
Yeah.
spent and don't have and didn't make anything for it.
I wonder what happens in a case like that where a film falls short.
Your production company has to make their next film has to be the biggest hit on the face of the earth
To make up
to
for
make
it.
up, yes.
And now that we think about it, most films, we say an average good film makes quadruple of its budget.
Yeah, there we
so
go.
they probably did make that up. They were like,
Look, making a movie is always a risk. When you make a film,
That's
I don't
true.
know if you know this, but making a film is you're taking a risk because you don't know how well it's going to do. So you're putting in all this money or this effort or this work, etc., and you actually don't know, are people going to like this movie? Like, obviously, that's why they're very picky in terms of like choosing scripts and actors and all of that. But it is, you're taking a risk.
maybe that's what makes movies, what puts pressure on
Yeah.
a lot of directors and that, because they're like, okay, guys, they're borrowing us a lot of money. We need to make it back. Okay,
Yeah.
that's
And why filming schedules are so
Yeah.
strict, and it's
True.
because every day on set costs. You're paying for every day on set.
Yeah, you're hiring a lot of people
Yeah.
out.
So the director is Tom Hooper. Now, Tom Hooper actually was the director of The King's Speech, which is the film that we reviewed last week. And the reason we actually watched this was because we realized he was the director. He's also directed Le Miserable, which was also a musical. So this is his second musical that he's done. Now, going from Le Miserable, that film did brilliantly. That film won awards. That film was the talk of the town. Like, everyone was talking about Les Mis. And then Cats, like yeah. And then looking at the cast of the film, the cast is amazing. It's an amazing bunch of actors put together, both from an acting perspective, but even from a vocal perspective. So you've got Taylor Swift in it, you've got Jennifer Hudson in it, you've got James Corden, who can sing. If you don't know, he does The Late Late Show. He also has been in other musicals. You have James Bond. Yes,
007.
007. She's normally in those. You have Rebel Wilson, Idris Elba, Ian McKellen, who is Gandalf, if you did not know that. And then there was a new, she's new to the movie scene. Her name's Francesca Hayward. She played Victoria, and she's basically the protagonist of the film. But she's actually a ballerina, a very high up ballerina, and she's a dancer in the Royal Ballet in London. So from a dancing perspective, she's very high up. So the cast is filled with a whole bunch of people who are very high up, whether it be in dance, whether it be in singing or acting or whatever. So from the cast perspective, you would think, this is going to be good. So it's not the cast that was the problem. The director, it wasn't him that was the problem, because if you look at other films, like that was pretty good. Then if you look at the storyline of Cats, so Cats actually, it's based on T.S. Eliot's 1939 poetry book, Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats. And literally, even the songs in the musical consist of the verses in his poems, and that was set to music by Andrew Lloyd Webber, who also actually made new songs for this film. So, do you understand? It's people would want to see it because it's not your average Cats. There's added material to it now. So if you're a Cats lover, it's like, there's more songs type of thing, which means you want to watch it. However, if you look at it, the musical is unusual in its construction, as it's made, it's set on poems, because it doesn't have a traditional narrative structure. So if you watch Cats, it's not an easy story to follow.
No.
Simply because they don't go with the normal storytelling structure. So but for me that makes sense because it is based on poems, and I'm not a poem person. Like, I think I read poems and what does this poem mean? No, the red lilies represent red lilies. Do you even get red lilies? Nope. Whatever.
Okay.
The green meadow represents the tranquility of his sadness. Like, literally, that's what it sounds like. So for me, poems are like, what? And that kind of makes sense. But I did get to the end of the film. I knew what happened at the end of the film. I know, Ryan, you had a...
I was lost.
Yeah, Ryan was
I still
lost.
don't know what it's about.
Okay, so I will read out what it is about to you. But I just want to say, when I was younger, so like I mentioned last week, when I was younger, we actually went to the theater and we actually watched Cats live. And I was very young though, and I was lost. So as a child, I was like, I don't get what happened. The only thing I remember...
Nice cat. Another nice cat. Oh,
Everyone,
what a nice dance.
Right?
Ooh.
Yeah, that was basically... But I do remember that the only thing I remember is the opening. There was a cat on strings. I don't know which cat it was, but she was gliding towards the stage. So they had her on strings up over the audience. And then literally they brought her down, and then that's what I remember. Yeah. Don't know who it was, but...
Sounds cool.
I remember...
Sounds cooler than the movie.
Shame. Yeah, so let me just give you, Ryan, this is what happens in the film, right? Are you ready?
I'm just saying, when you mention names of the cats, I'm going to be like, okay, wait, which cat was that?
Okay, I won't choose name of the cats. I'm going to give you
or
a
at least
very...
just say, example, give me one of their names.
Victoria.
Victoria. Was their cat named Victoria?
Yeah, that was the
That's
main...
how lost I was. So Victoria, which was the cat with the big pink bow. Not that there was a cat with a pink bow. Yeah, you understand?
I'll explain it without names. Yes, okay. So, the whole story is about a tribe of cats called the Jellicas. So if you hear a lot in the film, especially opening sequence, but throughout, they always speak about the Jellicals. And that is just the tribe of cats. So it's like saying the South Africans, basically. Do you understand what I'm saying? So the whole plot is around these cats as they come together for the annual Jellicle Ball. Now, what the Jellicle Ball is they decide which cats will basically get to ascend to heaven. So their version of heaven is Heaverside Lair, but that is heaven. It's just their word for heaven.
Are you serious?
Yes, and the reason they're ascending to heaven is to be reborn into a new life. Right?
Are you serious?
So now the whole musical consists of basically introducing the different contenders, and so they either get introduced by themselves or they get introduced by other cats. So, for example, when Rebel Wilson's cat, the very fat cat, the ginger cat, when she's introduced by another cat. But then there were other cats where they came on. So Ian McKellen's cat, he auditioned. You got his story from his audition. So in other words, the whole thing's about these different cats they're auditioning or they're contending in the Jellicle Ball, and the winner gets to go to heaven. That's the story.
I never got
in its entirety.
Okay. The only thing I got out of it was that there was a competitiveness.
Yes.
Of teams that had to compete to win.
Yeah, so it was different cats that were trying. So out of those contestants, you had Rebel Wilson, you had James Corden, you had Ian McKellen, Idris Elba. Obviously, he was trying to get rid of all the so he started kidnapping the contenders, so that basically there was no one else to contend with. It was just him. And then at the end, Jennifer Hudson, she becomes one of the contender, and then she's the one that wins.
Floated off.
That's why she floated off in a balloon.
You see, now I was watching with my wife, and even she said, "And now," I'm like, and I guess she goes away. So I don't think she also understood. I'm going to go and be like, love, guess what?
She went to heaven.
She go to heaven. So they were all competing to go to heaven. And remember and she's going to be like, oh, okay.
That makes sense. So yes, so you see, it's not the storyline, it doesn't have a very big story.
Flip.
So it's like a poem, in other words, which makes sense for me. So that's the whole story of the cats. So now, but the thing is this, we can't say it was the storyline because Cats is a very, very well-known musical, a loved musical. And, it's people have been going to watch Cats in theaters for years. Do you understand what I'm saying? So we can't say it's the storyline. Obviously, it needs a little bit extra. Like, I'm pretty sure maybe if like when you go to theater, you get those booklets where you actually can read the story beforehand. So like even when you go to the ballet. So my gran used to take us to the ballet a lot, but now with ballet, there's no speaking. The whole thing is dance and they tell a story through the dance, which can be very confusing. So what they do is you get a booklet which has like the different ballerinas that will be dancing in it. So it's kind of like the credits, but then also they give you...
Do they have a picture of each ballerina and then their name?
And yes, you do.
Like a close-up, like a side profile?
Not a side, a front profile.
Profile picture.
Yes.
Okay, maybe a side profile. Of them standing like this, right?
No, it's of their face.
Is it a studio shot or is it like a live action
studio shot of their face, close-up. Yes. But then in there, you'll get they'll tell you what happens in each scene. So they'll tell you scene 1 or act 1 or whatever. They'll tell you. So chances are when you go to theater, you'll also get that. Do you understand? So if you read it up before going, then you're able to like follow. I think it would be better to know what's happening with Cats beforehand.
Like, can I just ask? So when you went to theater, did you ever have the theater glasses?
No.
You sit there like this, and you got the booklet. So you're looking, and then you're like. You're like looking down at the pamphlets and then looking up.
No, my gran we would sit down because we'd get there early. So we'd sit down.
Front seat, middle, back.
Middle normally.
So you could see their faces, right?
Yeah.
You're like, I don't know who that is.
No, you could see their faces.
Okay.
And then before it started, she would then read out because you get one booklet. So then she'd read out to all of us. This is what's gonna go down.
Serious?
Yes. And then you'd watch.
I never knew this happened. I thought it was just...
No, there's a story.
Oh, it's so pretty.
No, that's why they do Cinderella, Snow White, Swan Lake, Nutcracker. There's actual, yes. So with Cats, the storyline is not the problem. So we have come to a conclusion of what the problem is. We know what the problem is.
What is the problem?
The problem with Cats. Brian, come on, you know what the problem is with Cats. The problem...
Okay, I see okay, sorry, I'm calculating in my head because we already said, okay, cool, obviously it's a poem. Because I was thinking, I was lost. That's my problem with Cats. I was lost.
So for all of you like Ryan, go read it up beforehand.
But we fixed that. We fixed that. We realized it's the poem thing. Although I never got the thing that they win and then they go to heaven.
Okay, I did get that.
Yeah.
I didn't get in the balloon. I was expecting something to happen. Now that I found out she went to heaven, I'm like, oh, they're going to heaven. That makes sense. But I knew they were all competing to win the Jellicle Ball.
I knew that as well,
yeah.
Yes. I knew they were competing. I knew there was a bad guy, and I knew there was the good people. The first character that is it the first character the main character, the chick.
Victoria.
Yes, is that her?
Yeah.
The lights. I think she had a light
She's
color.
the ballerina, Francesca Hayward.
She seemed kind of new to the whole thing when she first came on.
So she was thrown out. So in the beginning of the film, you see a woman come. She's in the bag. She gets thrown out, and then she basically at the end of the film she gets accepted into the Jellicle tribe.
Yes,
so there's two things. Jennifer Hudson goes to heaven, and she gets accepted into the Jellicle tribe.
Because she was even trying to get in, and they were like, trying to keep her out and stuff like that. Yes. So the problem that we've determined is that, okay, you've probably heard this, the VFX is a joke, but we know exactly why the VFX is a joke.
Yes.
And there's a bad side and a good side to the VFX. And, like I said, I was preoccupied through the whole film just looking at the VFX. Because for me, I sat there and I was like, something is just off about this. My mind and the way that I understand physics, there's just something not sitting right here. And the first thing I nudged my wife and I was just like, I know what it is. Something's off here, but I know what it is. And I'm like, the gravity. Look at when they land and the way they...
Yeah, that was horrible.
There's no weight. But then I thought, but there are cats. So cats are light.
No, but it didn't... No, right.
Yeah. And then I looked and I'm like, the problem with this film is that they're making a human and a cat in one sort of... sort of thing. Because I was like, But that's not even what cats look like. Cats don't, the way they act and the way they like. And then I got two cats. So then I was like looking at my other cat. I even got the one up. I'm like, walk around, cat. Just walk around. I need to study you. And I was looking at the way my cats, the cat even jumped up on our lap and stuff. And I was like, no, they've actually done the movement. And I was even looking at the muscle structure and everything. I was just like, no, they actually pretty spot on. And the way they did the ears was really good.
The ears were very good, yeah.
The fur and the biggest thing.
The fur was good as well.
The first thing I looked at was the how they did the motion cap.
Yeah.
Because in my mind, I was like, the first thing I looked at it and I was just like, okay, it's a soundstage.
Yeah.
They motion capture them. Even the dancers, the group dancers, they got everyone together on the soundstage. They motion captured them, which motion captures basically they got suits on and they've got sensors across their body. And what happens is that they are capturing every movement of your body. If your arm goes up, it's picking up from your shoulder all the way down to your hands, the movements of your hands. And they're probably on a soundstage, and then they're adding in the whole sets and stuff like that. And I was like Googling during the movie. See, this is how preoccupied I was. And this is probably why I didn't get the story. And I'm just like,
probably.
I'm like, where is it? I want to see some behind the screen footage. And I couldn't find it. And then eventually I came across the site and I realized, wait a minute, the sets are real. I'm like, this is cool. Okay, how did they do it? And they motion capped them, but the real actors were there, and they used certain parts of them. So I know that for one of the cats, that really sort of elderly like cat that came on.
Deuteronomy.
Yes, she had like a certain I don't even know how to describe it. Yeah, sort of like a fur coat on, and then she was wearing like a green suit underneath. And then they use their faces, and then they sort of add the fur on, and that's a lot of CG work.
There's a lot of CG work.
That's a lot, and it's done brilliant. And I'm just like, wow, but this is quite good. But something's still off about this film, and it just kept bugging me. So the first thing we picked up was that because and you know what, I've just realized something, Sash, I'll tell you now. The first thing I want to say is that you see certain parts where the cat lands.
Yeah. And
they're supposed to land on a car, but then the way they land and the whole physics of them landing, I'm like, that's wrong.
That was definitely off.
That looks like a mistake. I was just like, if I did that, I know Sashi would already be like, Ryan, can you just fix that landing over there? It just doesn't
And you know
right.
what I thought when that happened? I was like, they just messed up the choreography.
Right.
The CG, at certain points, the CG messed up the choreography. The choreography didn't look as good, and the dancers didn't look as good as they are.
Yes.
Because, the main dancers from the Royal Ballet in London. No one goes to the Royal Ballet in London. Your top dancers ever go to the Royal Ballet. Do you understand what I'm saying? So for her, and I've seen her because I follow her on Instagram. I've seen her dance like on a normal stage. She's amazing. She was,
and her movement as well.
Yes.
She was. And that was the other thing I thought was, okay, it makes sense that it's all CG, even their movement. No, their movement wasn't CG because they got their movements pretty right. So that was really good.
Yeah.
And I think, Sashi, you said you found where they did a bit of a study.
Yes. So apparently, according to Taylor Swift, the cast attended cat school for preparation.
That's it.
We don't know what cat school is, but they attended it.
Yeah, well, their movement, and then of course they had their muscle, the way their muscles were formed, because obviously you can see it's not natural.
Yeah,
the way some of their muscles moved, but it was really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
And there are two things. So I spotted the one where the cat landed right in the beginning dance, like on a car, lands on the car, and I'm like,
but there was a couple of landings.
There were
I feel like all the landings were just like. Okay.
It was just weird.
Whatever.
And like I said, the gravity physics didn't feel right. And I thought, okay, I guess I could sort of overlook it because cats are naturally light. Like if you pick up a big cat, I've got quite a big cat, and he's not that heavy. All right. But then, okay, so they had a short time. Number one, so okay, this is from Wikipedia. Cats uses extensive visual effects throughout to convert the live action actors to computer animated cats. Companies that worked on the film include, and they named two companies. I don't think they were the CG companies, but they had one company here on. Hang on, I don't want to assume. So the one was Technicolor SA, which is okay, cool. Which is basically just it's not most probably cameras and stuff like that. And then so the Mill is a VFX and creative content studio, and then MPC to work on this entire film. Right, to add this, the actors now wait. So just to put this in perspective, you look at a company like the Marvel series, not the company, the Marvel
franchise.
And you look at how much VFX is in that movie. It's not every scene. There's
a lot, but it's not every scene. Yeah,
but it's not every scene now, and they get multiple. Even Iron Man, They
Yeah.
have multiple studios involved in making that film, and that usually takes about 6 months to a year. Now, post-production. Where Cats, they had 2 visual studios, and every scene has visual effects on it.
And a lot.
And look, let me just put this to perspective. They motion cap the actor. They have to remesh. In other words, they have to build that actor's body in 3D. They have to model it out. Then they have to attach it to the motion cap so that the body's moving like the act. Then on top of that, they have to put fur on it. Then on top of that, they have to comp it in, which means that what they have to do now is if 2 actors are acting over each other, and there's something that is on the live set that goes in front of that person, they have to sit down every frame. They have to edge it in.
Every frame, not
Yes.
every second, every frame.
Every frame. And it's a lot of work. Okay, just ask any CG artist. So this is the whole movie out, right? To aid this, the actors performed in motion capture suits with tracking dots on their costumes and faces. The bodies of the Cats characters were rendered with digital fur, which is blended with the actors' actual faces, which is what I said. I like the ears.
Yeah, the ears were very good, yeah.
Even the whiskers
Mm.
was brilliant. I don't know if the whiskers were live, but there was something I picked up where I was like, oh, I just saw that where I think the whisker, there was one part where the actor sort of brushed their hand over their face and there was no shadow under it. And even the whiskers, I like saw literally an error. I'm like, don't you usually fix that?
I'm not supposed to see that.
So, all right, so substantial work on the VFX for Cats was performed at MPC Vancouver, which had now MPC has worked on a lot of movies. Jungle Book was one of them. So they know their stuff, which had previously worked on redoing the visual effects. Sonic the Hedgehog, the film's visuals were completed just hours before its premiere.
Yeah.
So that's like, Sash, we know that one, right?
Ooh.
Like movies, something's about to go live, we're sitting there rendering, come on, come on, come on.
And then the crazy part is 2 days after the release, they announced they were going to release a
Right.
fixed version. So
Right.
they are shame. These poor people.
Now, listen to this, all right? The film's original release contained numerous CGI errors and glitches, such as one scene in which Judy, I think it's Dench's
Yeah.
human hand completed with her wedding ring appears instead. Sashi, did you see that? Because
didn't.
that was on my copy. I saw her hand with her wedding ring and I'm like, wait, what?
No, okay, I don't know if that was on mine. I don't remember seeing
And
that.
it was a mid shot. It was a mid close up. So it wasn't like a long shot. It was a mid close up. Like I've still got the movie on my Mac. I'll show
I
you.
want to go check. I want to go check. Maybe we watch different versions.
That's what I'm saying. I saw a number of errors. I'm like, should, and maybe I'm seeing. And just by the way, I watched my version. I hired my film off Google Movies.
Eh.
All right.
So they haven't even fixed that one.
So it's on Google, which appears instead of the character's cat paw.
That's
After poor
crazy.
reviews, Universal notified cinemas on opening day that an updated digital cinematic package with improved visual effects would be available for download on the 22nd of December.
That's crazy.
Urging them. Can you see them grabbing them?
Yeah.
Please replace the current print as soon as possible. All
A
right.
shame.
Studio executives and cinema owners said that the decision to release a modified version of a film already in wide release was unheard of. So there it is.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, but it looked. They didn't have much time to.
They did. So this is the thing. So the CG was bad. But now get this, right? So apparently an article published in April 2020 on the Daily Beast website, the visual effects artist that worked on Cats actually spoke about the fact that, get this, right? So the original trailer that came out was 2 minutes, 2.5. It was a 2.5 minute trailer. Now I remember seeing that trailer and I was like, what in the world? Like that whole cat, half human appearance freaked people out. In fact, someone even said that it was more scary than It Chapter 2. Shame.
What?
So already from there, they were playing games, or they were taking a risk with this whole. Anyway, but then it took that for that 2.5 minute trailer. The visual effects team was given 6 months. 6 months, right? Which is, okay, cool. 6 months, trailer, perfect. 2.5 minutes. Let's just remember that. So
That's
6 months
nice.
for 2.5 minutes. Then they were only given 4 months to produce the entire film. Like, who even made that decision? What idiot made that decision? How can you give them 6 months for a 2.5-minute trailer and then give them only 4 months for an entire over 1 hour, close to 2-hour movie? Like, that doesn't even make any logical sense.
That's looking for a failure.
You are looking for a failure. Now, get this. Visual effect artists were spending 90-hour weeks and even sleeping under their desks in some cases to get the film done in time. The time crunch, along with also the working relationship between the visual effects artist and Tom Hooper, the director, they described it as bad-tempered, argumentative, and uncooperative. So that's the type of relationship the director had with the visual effects team. And basically, the film was set up for failure. Like, it was literally, it's like someone set it up for complete failure.
Okay, so 90-hour weeks, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I've just calculated if you're working Monday to Sunday, it's 12 hours a day. If you were working...
12 hours a day?
Yeah, 12 hours a day. That's if you're working Monday to Sunday. The chances are that probably...
That's basically working 8 o'clock in the morning to 8 o'clock in the evening every single day from
Every day.
Monday to Sunday for months.
Under pressure.
Under pressure, sleeping. Oh, my word. Oh,
After
my word.
that, you go on holiday.
After that, you change jobs. You've done all the CG work you need to do in your life.
Yeah.
Just go on holiday and become a...
Change studios.
I don't know.
Get out of Vancouver. Guys, I'm going to the States.
No. I don't understand why they didn't they should have just pushed the date back. It's not the first time a film's, I mean, rather, don't release another version, then people have watched your bad version. Just push even if it was by a year. I mean, we've had so many
They've
films.
done it before.
Maze Runner, The Death Cure, was pushed back, and yet it did so well.
Wasn't it by months or a year
It
or
was
something?
because Dylan O'Brien, who played Thomas, the main character, had an injury, and it took him a long time to recover from it, so they had to push it back. But I mean, it's not like the film did badly, and I still think it could have done better. Like, people love Cats, eh? In fact, the stage version of Cats is the 4th longest running show in Broadway history and the 6th longest running film in London's West End. But that shows that it's a good production because people are prepared to go and sit through the whole... Do you understand what I'm saying? It's not like Cats is a bad production. So if they had just... And I mean, for me, so the film, I was watching it, and at one point I felt tired. It was actually the first time Jennifer Hudson sang Memories. And I actually felt tired. I felt like I wanted to go to sleep, but I didn't. The film actually kept me going to the end. It actually did keep me going. So I think they should have just pushed it back. They should have helped their visual effects team, given them more time, like even if it was 6 months, I think they could have even done with another 6 months.
They could have even gotten another 1 or 2 studios
involved. Exactly.
Studios involved.
Like,
yeah.
I don't understand why they didn't do that. Like, I don't know, maybe it was budget. I don't know, but...
And that's not difficult. Well, maybe it is budget, but if you think about it, I think the biggest reason, because this would have obviously been pushed from the producers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the chances are it would have either been, listen, we don't have enough money, or they would have been like, look, we need to make this film needs to release at this time because we need more money. Everyone's going to love Cats. It's going to be huge. We've scheduled it. We've marketed it.
But they should have, the trailer, when the trailer was released, I remember watching the trailer and thinking, what the hell?
It does look weird, yeah.
I still remember mentioning it on the movie show. So already from their trailer, they had received a bit of backlash. So from their trailer, they then should have gone, okay, how do we fix this? Do you understand? Like with Sonic, I don't know if you remember when we spoke about Sonic.
Yes.
People hated Sonic when they first saw him.
They fixed the trailer, didn't they?
I think they fixed the trailer and they fixed the film. And they didn't do as badly as it would have if they hadn't. So they should have just... Do you know that this film has entered in the 100 worst movies of all time on IMDb?
Yeah.
It's literally entered the top 100 worst movies of all time. Not of the late 2000s.
Of the year?
Or the 21st century. Nope. Of all time. It is...
Sure.
Shame. I actually feel bad for them. I actually feel... I was watching James Corden. He was asked, does he regret being involved in Cats? Because obviously, like, it's such a big flop. Like, it is such a big flop. And he said he doesn't because he enjoyed filming it with the people that he filmed with. So for him, the filming experience was
cool.
really, really nice. So from that perspective, Yeah.
It's fun.
And I also feel bad for Tom Hooper because he went from like 2 successful films to this flop. Obviously, the relationship between the visual effects artists, you can't have a bad relationship between your visual effects artists. Like, you all need to get the same vision. As the director, you're giving the vision, and the visual effects artist they're creating what you're asking them for. So there has to be a good relationship there. Otherwise, you are bound for failure.
I think time pressure, just because, look, like I said, what are the chances that that the director was getting flack from the producers?
Yeah, that is a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, he could have been fighting for he could have been saying, listen, guys, in fact, what are the chances he would have said, listen, do you want this film by this time? Do you want it to look good? We need to get more companies involved because, I mean, like we said, he's done other films and he's done it really, really, has been really, really successful, which means that he knows the right calls to make. So,
yeah.
Yeah,
no, it's crazy, man. Shame. They just needed. So that is the problem with Cats.
Yeah.
The problem with Cats is the fact that the CG was not good. And the reason the CG was not good was because they were not given enough time to produce what had been envisioned.
To produce a masterpiece.
Exactly.
And the saying still goes, Rome was not built in a day.
Still goes? It was definitely not built in a day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the problem.
And
I'm disappointed for them, actually.
Yeah. Well,
because I did enjoy it. There were parts where I was freaked out, like when they brought the cockroaches and the mice. That I was just like, oh, okay, no, this is very weird.
Sashi, I can actually imagine the horror in your face. I think I was also, I think because I was sitting back, and I think also the part I sat forward.
I was like, what are they doing? Why are they doing that? I don't understand. Oh my goodness.
The way that they ate the cockroaches, like the realism, and I was just like, no.
I literally, I went into this movie with an open mind. I was like, you know what? I'm going to give it the benefit of my doubt, and I'm going to go into it trying to see the good. And literally the film started, and I was like, this is terrible. I
set my standards low, hoping that it would, that I would be impressed.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
look, there was one point in the film that I thought, this is brilliant. It happened once only. It was the tap dancing sequence. So it's probably over halfway, I think, into the film. There's a tap dancing sequence that takes place, which I just thought the way it was choreographed, the way everything, that was, I really enjoyed. It was the first time I thought, okay, this was really good. But other than that, I did enjoy it. I was disappointed. The CG, it's the CG that let you down. Like, I actually, if it weren't for the CG, I think I probably would have given it a very good rating because I did enjoy it. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea. I know it's a musical and it's Cats, which is not the easiest musical to follow.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, my problem is that even if the CG was brilliant, I still would have been lost.
But maybe you wouldn't have been lost because you wouldn't have been searching the CG.
Yeah.
So you would have followed the storyline a little bit more.
But I was looking at when I was studying the CG, I was looking at the way that they had actually done it and the decisions they had made in the movement and stuff. So
I also don't know if they should have gone with that half human, half cat appearance thing.
I think the alternative would have been to maybe have either like the characters, maybe in
costumes,
in more like a not full on cat, maybe like a furry coats and stuff like that.
Yeah, so more human.
But then again, it's a story about a cat. So, or maybe you want to. I mean, how do they do the theatrical the theater?
Well, they dressed in costumes as cats.
So maybe something similar to. I suppose they wanted to do something different.
Originally, they wanted it to be an animated film, but then. They maybe should have gone for something like
I think it was a Jungle
Book.
I was about to say. I think they were looking at Jungle Book. Look how good it looks.
But with Jungle Book, they didn't do the half human, half animal thing.
You see, that's the problem.
Yeah,
it's the half human, half cat.
But I did enjoy seeing the actors' faces. See, it's like there's a fine line on deciding how to do it.
But you can make you can give a animal its voice actor's face.
Yeah.
And
but then the only other problem is the choreography. So you're not going to be able to. Do you understand what I'm saying? The choreography is a big part because it's a musical. The choreography is a big part of it.
Yeah.
So now, what's the cat got to do?
I think this film must just stay in the theaters. They
maybe should have done a theater. Although one thing I did enjoy, the lighting was amazing. I loved the lighting. That decision, whoever decided on the lighting, that person, they can be proud of themselves.
Yeah, to our cinematographer friends.
That whoever, if it was a guy, if it was
Well
a
done
girl,
on that one.
they
Cinematographer Christopher Ross. Well done.
yeah. The sets were good as well. The only problem with the sets was
It did have a very theatre feel.
It did,
the
yes.
sets, yeah.
The problem with what I had with the sets was the proportion of the people to the set. It was unnatural. I get why, though, because a cat is smaller, but because they look like humans, it was just like, okay.
It's the half human, half cat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So just that whole creative thought process, yeah.
Let's not do that again, guys.
Yeah, let's not do that again.
Okay.
And let's give our visual effects team enough time. Let's not make them work like dogs. Or, yeah, like dogs. Especially when you're working on cats.
They weren't working.
Doesn't fit.
That's torture.
Oh, shame.
No. Well, yeah.
Yeah, but we did it. We watched Cats Ride.
Yeah.
We did it.
Yeah.
And we gave our 2 cents.
You know, the creative for this film actually looks pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it does.
I'll give him that one.
Yeah, and the singing was very good. I was shocked that Francesca Hayward sang, because I know her as a ballerina. So when she was singing, I was like, you could. She's not a vocalist, but she held the note. It's not like she didn't. And it almost gave her like a new. It was like she was a kitten or like a new cat, and she was trying to find her voice, and but it was. Yeah, the music was on point. I enjoyed,
So this is a film I definitely won't see again.
I might show it to my family if they are prepared to watch it.
I showed it to my family. My kids will loved it though.
Oh, serious?
Yeah, they were
there we
glued
go.
to the screen.
There we go.
Yeah.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, are you ready?
You can stream Reactive's very own The Movement album on Spotify and Apple iTunes. Reactive is a movement.
So that is the musical Cats. And this has been the movie show on Active FM.
With me, Ryan.
And me, Sash. But before we go,
Yes.
we would like to tell you about our non-disappointing social media pages, which will not disappoint you at all.
No.
Nothing.
You should go there.
Yes, you should go check us out. So go check us out on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Parler, Gab, and Reddit. Also, we have an amazing website, www.activefm.co.za.
And of course, if you are subscribed to Spotify, you can go check us on Spotify as well. Also, Google Podcast, that's an app. Go look in the Google Play Store. And for every Apple user out there, the app's already on your phone there. Go look for Active FM, subscribe. And then, of course, we're on YouTube because we're on 2 channels there, Active FM. Go look for us on Active FM YouTube channel. And as well as Active TV, we got a whole playlist there with a whole lot of cool shows there. Short facts, visual stuff, very cool. You might as well go check that out after this. So let's let them be.
Yeah.
So with that said and done,
This is the movie show.
we've already
signing
signed out, so goodbye.
Okay. Peace out, man. Peace.
Active FM. Radio has never been better.